Si Deputy Governor Abinoha and I sat in the NFA Council when I was chairman, and you were representing the BSP. Food inflation actually is a driver of nationwide inflation. In fact, to be specific, rice inflation is a big driver, either driving it up or driving it down. Would you consider that, Governor, one of the interventions that needs immediate addressing so that we can bring down nationwide inflation? I say this because, and I think Deputy Governor Abinoha will remember, or perhaps you will recall, during our watch with the NFA having the powers that it used to have, we were able to flood NCR with up to 75% additional rice at that height when rice inflation was 15% in June of 2014 when I first stepped in as Food Security Secretary. So much so that within 1 year, rice inflation dropped from 15% to 0.8% in June of 2015. And by September of 2015, we registered the lowest inflation in 20 years, from 1995 to 2015. You will recall that, DepGov Abinoha. So, should not that be one major consideration for our executive department? How do we manage, bring down food inflation, particularly rice inflation?
Tama kayo, Senator. Food is 37% of our index. So, malaking share ng index. For the lower 30% of our household, food is 50% of their basket. Now, rice is very special. Ang rice kasi, ang tawag namin din, salient price. Napapansin ng mga tao yung presyo ng bigas. Na-affect yung expectations nila. Pag tumaas yung presyo ng bigas, may effect sa expectations. Yung expectations, ano yan part of the mechanism for inflation. So, maganda kung hindi tumaas masyado yung presyo ng bigas. Ang makakabuti, hindi po yung lalagyan natin ng cap, hindi masyado nakakatulong yung cap. Ang mas mabuti, itaas natin yung productivity ng ating agriculture para mas malaki ang production natin ng rice.
Unfortunately, in terms of agri-exports, we continue to be a net importer.
Yes.
Instead of a net exporter.
Yes.
And we're doing very, not naman negligible, but nakakalungkot kung inkumpara yung ating agri-exports sa Thailand, Indonesia. They're doing almost $60+ billion worth of agri-exports, while we're doing about 9. So clearly something is not right with precisely why food inflation, why nationwide inflation is high, because food inflation is high. Food inflation is high because productivity is low, supply is low, and therefore, when demand is high and supply is low, then prices will obviously go up. So it's actually a very basic, simple problem. I mean, simply defined, articulated problem. Now the challenge is, how do you bring down food prices? How do you increase productivity? I mean, that's really now up to the executive department through the DA and the DepDev. But you will agree that if we address food inflation by providing the right supply, we will bring down nationwide inflation.
Absolutely, Senator.
Thank you.